What's up, guys? It's Isaac at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson here in Raleigh, North Carolina with your new bike of the week, the 2022 Fat Bob 114. Now, if you're looking for an aggressive looking bike that doesn't mind getting a little bit dirty, this bike's for you. Formerly on the Dyna platform and now on the Milwaukee Yates Softail platform, the Fat Bob is a pretty sweet looking and riding bike. And for 2022, this might just be the new bike you want to add to your garage. So stick around as we dive into your new bike of the week. This bike with the swept-up exhaust, the grippy seat, the 114, and the more adventure-focused tires, from a distance you might look at this bike and think it's a mini Pan America. Now this certainly isn't an adventure bike, but compared to the other cruisers from Harley-Davidson, this bike would probably be able to hold its own all right. And the Milwaukee Yates Softails are an excellent base platform for a lot of performance-centered builds, and a lot of people really love the Fat Bob for those builds as well, because you've already got the Milwaukee Yates 114, it's already set up for dual brakes up front, and it's got that plenty bright LED headlight, making it a little bit more unique. Now, if you know anything about the Dyna Fat Bobs, they were pretty easy to recognize with the dual headlight and the matching dual tail light in the back as well. That was built into the rear fender. Now, a lot of people loved and a lot of people hated that style, but most everyone can agree, but especially the Dyna Fat Bobs with the 103s, those guys were little rocket ships. And if you're looking to throw your leg over a new Fat Bob, you're going to be pretty satisfied with how well this bike performs. So let's start breaking this bike down. On the Softail Fat Bob, you've got the Harley-Davidson Dunlop rubber, and you'll see that compared to all the other bikes, it's a little bit more adventure style to help give it an even more aggressive look and give you a little bit better traction in some less than ideal situations. You do have dual rotors up front with ABS and inverted forks, giving you even better suspension and handling. Then you've got that pretty unique wide LED headlight on this bike. It certainly makes this bike stand out. It looks pretty good and it's plenty bright. Coming up, you've got risers with a little bit of a pullback to bring those drag bars to you a little bit closer. You'll see mounted front and center on this bike isn't a speedometer, but a tachometer. So this display is actually very similar to the new displays that are on the Lowrider S. So you've got that analog tachometer, so you can keep a better peripheral view of what your engine speed is and how it's performing. But you've got your digital speedometer, and then you've also got those digital readouts such as your fuel level, your range, your trips, and a clock. And all that's mounted right there in the center of this 3.5-gallon tank. And now this bike is offered in two colors for 2022, the white sand pearl we have here, as well as the vivid black, both of which have those really nice graphics that are on the tank. Then just below that is the powerhouse of this motor, that Milwaukee Yates 114. This massive powerhouse on this small bike is for sure going to be keeping you rolling. Also on that powerhouse, you have the ventilator exposed air cleaner element, and it does have a rain sock included with it. So if you find yourself in those less than ideal situations, such as riding in the rain or if there's a lot of dirt and dust around, I'd recommend going ahead and throwing that rain sock on just to help the life of that filter a little bit better. Now this motor is feeding into a 6-speed transmission, and it does have this unique kind of kick-up exhaust, giving that aggressive adventure styling. Also below the tank on the left side is actually a USB port. So if you're looking to plug up a phone or hook up a GPS, you've got that right there. As far as comfort goes on this bike, you've got a pretty unique seat to this bike. It's actually got a little bit more grip to it, so it's going to hold you on that bike a little bit better, and that's something a little bit more adventure style riders will actually prefer. So that way, especially if you end up getting wet, you can kind of hold on to that seat and to the bike a little bit better. And it does have that nice firm back wall to it, so when you start getting on this bike, you're going to hold on to it pretty well. Now it does kind of have relaxed forward controls on it with a small peg, so you don't have to worry about those pegs really hitting on too much, but you're going to find it's still plenty to hold your feet on. Also right below this seat is the rear monoshock found on all the new Softails, and this one actually still has the hand adjustable part right here on the right side of the bike. So if you want to get the most out of this bike's rear suspension, then you can go ahead and adjust the preload based on your weight, a passenger weight, and the luggage weight that's going to be on this bike. If you do want to go ahead and throw a passenger on, you do have that back pillion as well as passenger pegs, so you can go ahead and pick somebody up, but they probably aren't going to appreciate riding on this seat for really extended periods of time. Now coming on back, you don't have that integrated dual headlight in the rear fender like you had on the Dyna Fat Bob, more consistent with the other Softails now, where you have the brake light, turn signal combos on either side of the rear fender. And this bike does have the side mounted license plate. So showing you what this bike looks like with a rider. I'm a 5'10" rider sitting on this bike, and it's a pretty good spot. It's a pretty relaxed, go ahead and throw my feet up on the pegs. It's a pretty relaxed position, but it's a good middle position. So it's not too down low and aggressive. I'm not laying on the tank here, but I'm not, kind of lean back in the lazy boy kind of thing. It's a good middle ground position where I feel like I could really get on this bike and control it very well. Now, I would probably prefer to throw mids on this bike and some more MX style pegs, but that's just me, to really get the bike under me a little bit better. But this isn't bad at all right here. Now, if you were expecting to throw a leg over this bike and kind of slide into the seat, it surprises you pretty quick of just how grippy that seat is. You know, it's a good amount of grip to it, so it's going to hold you onto this bike really well. So you're not going to move into the seat unless you want to. I'm a big fan of the analog tachometer front and center. With it on the tank, you can do upgrades to the bars and risers a little bit easier. So that's your new bike of the week, the 2022 Fat Bob 114. Now, as far as specs go that I haven't mentioned yet, out of that 3.5 gallon tank, you are getting an estimated 47 miles per gallon, but you are going to be able to still get a pretty decent range out of this bike for a non-touring bike. The seat height is a little bit taller, so it's right at 27.7 inches. And this bike sits right at 675 pounds running. Once again, it's that awesome cruiser weight where it's heavy enough that it's going to be nice and stable out on the highway, but it's also light enough that you're going to find throwing this bike around is plenty easy, especially on the Milwaukee 8 Softail platform and with those inverted front forks and that rear monoshock. So if you're like me and you don't always love to stick to the pavement, this bike will back you up a little bit better. It's awesome, aggressive adventure styling, makes this bike look good, and when you start riding it, you'll find it's got plenty of bite to that bark. Overall, it's really an incredible bike and really one that you've just got to throw a leg on and check it out yourself. If you want to make it out here at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson and come snag this bike, be sure to come give us a visit here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and check out all the new bikes we have on our website through that first link in the description, and the second link below that will help you connect with us. So, as always, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you soon.